bass or a bluegill or a crappie. But he's going to make one slightly unique cut right at the very beginning. Ryan could feel a bone right in here as he was making the cut downward. There's a series of pine cone shaped bones right here, and once Ryan felt that, Ryan was able to take his knife and go over the top of that pine cone shaped bone. So that's what he's doing. Now he's simply following the vertebral column down till he gets to the vent, and then he's going to fillet the rest of the fish off. And now all he's doing is he's simply running his knife down the vertebral column, and then now he's going over top of the ribs until he can take that fillet and remove it from the carcass. So now you can see that this is a very white flesh fish, and it is actually quite healthy, low in contaminants, and high in omega-3 fatty acids. So if you're worried about the health benefits associated with it, there are. It's very healthy. The other thing, as you can see, is that it's a pretty white flesh. Ryan, go ahead and split her down the center. The reason that Ryan is splitting this fillet down the center is because that makes it a little bit easier to work with. And now he's going to take that fillet, take that portion of the fillet, and he's going to remove the skin from the flesh. That's all he's doing. The one thing that you kind of have to pay attention to when you're filleting this fish out, and I'm going to show you something pretty cool here, is that fish have two kinds of muscle. They have this red muscle, and then sometimes called the mud vein, and then they also have white muscle. The red muscle is used for long distance or sustained swimming. Anybody give me a fish that has a lot of red muscle? What's that? Salmon. That's a really good one. Yeah, salmon have a lot of red muscle. The other thing that we know about salmon is they migrate long distances. So the problem with the red muscle is that it's highly vascular. That's a highly vascularized region of the fish. So there's a lot of blood flow, a lot of oxygen into that area. The problem with the taste is that it kind of gives that sort of pungent or definitely a fishy taste to it. So what Ryan's doing is that Ryan wants to remove that red meat or the red muscle. So all we have left is the white muscle. The white muscle is actually used for short burst swimming. So how many people have filleted a crappie? Crappies are all white muscle, right? Or predominantly all white muscle. So now what Ryan's going to do, now that he's trimmed that red meat off there, and I'm going to draw a picture over here too to show you what he's doing. But the dreaded Y bone is what everybody worries about with this fish. But it's actually quite easy to take care of. Along the top of this fillet, he can feel some bones protruding through the top of that flesh. All Ryan's going to do is he's simply going to make a cut on the top of those Y bones and then on the bottom of those Y bones. Can everybody see that these are the cuts that Ryan has made? He made a cut on the top half and the side view, Ryan. So if we imagine how that Y bone is setting in the flesh, it simply sets like this. It looks like up to this point, Ryan has simply made a cut right along that part of the Y and right along here. Now all Ryan has to do is he's going to make two more cuts. He's going to make a cut along that leg of the Y and along that leg of the Y. And all he's going to do is he's going to fillet out until he can see the end of the Y bone, and it's very evident when you're doing this. Come on up if you want to. You can see what we're doing here. Yeah, it's very much like a pike. Yeah, right. Exactly. And you can see right there trying to get to. Everybody see that? So now Now, because there's this beautiful piece of meat on the back side of the fillet, all Ryan's going to do now to remove that, to remove those nuggets, is that he's going to flip that fillet over, and then he's going to simply make 2 more cuts. He's going to make a cut down, and he's going to connect those 2 cuts to the ones that he's already made. And then what we end up with are 2 boneless pieces of Asian carp fillet. All right, and what bone looks like, because I think that's pretty interesting. This is the Y bone, and that's how it's positioned in that fillet. So what Ryan's done is he's just taken all the flesh all the way around it and kept it all in one piece. So what we end up with are 2 beautiful pieces of white flesh that you can pretty much cook however you want to. If you remember back to Forrest Gump, and when Bubba Gump talked about cooking shrimp and how many different ways you can cook it, that's exactly how this fish is. You can bake it, you can broil it, you can saute it, you can do whatever you want to with it. The other beauty of this fish is that the flavor profile is very delicate. It's a light fish, so whatever seasonings that you put on this fish or whatever you marinate it in, it really takes up that marinade. It really takes on the seasoning that you put on it. So if you like, one of my favorite dishes that we do with this is that we'll take these pieces and then we'll cut them into smaller chunks like this, and then we'll marinate these in a bath of like soy sauce and ginger and sriracha, sesame oil, and then what we'll do is we'll take skewers, jam them through the fillet, and then we'll take them and we'll put them on a really hot grill about 3 or 4 minutes on both sides, and they're absolutely delicious. But you can do it if you don't like that method. You can certainly fry them up, which that's the way you guys are going to have them here in just a little bit. But you can really cook this fish however you want to. The bottom half of this fillet is very similar to the top half. One slight difference is that the first third of that fillet, where it was associated with the rib bones, that's all completely boneless. So what Ryan's going to do is he's just going to simply fillet that out. So that's all boneless. That's all boneless. You can trim up that red muscle on that one. And then what he's going to do on the other 2/3 of that fillet. Cut through the skin. Oh. We got some pretty sharp knives today. We're not used to these sharp knives.
Cutco hook you up?
Cutco hook this up. So anyway, but this is very similar to the top half, in that just as I drew on my picture before, we're going to make a cut again. The Y bones are positioned just like that. Ryan's going to make a cut on both sides of the Y bone. That's all he's doing. And he's just cutting out right now. He's just cutting out until he can see the end of that Y bone. That's all he's doing. And then he's going to flip that over, trim all that off, and then he's going to do exactly the same thing to the other side. And then he could go back in and trim up the red muscle. So that's essentially how you would fillet this fish boneless. You could, like I said, you could come back in here and you could remove this. You could remove a little bit more of that red meat. But I mean, for 1/2 of a fish, and that's all boneless. That's all boneless. And then this is what we wasted, right? A lot of people say, well, that seems like a lot of waste. And I say, this is an invasive species that's having a dramatic effect on our aquatic system. Out and put it in my garden to make my vegetables grow better. I'm all about that. So if you waste a little bit, I wouldn't worry about it too much. So we should have some boneless, a fried Asian carp coming in just a second. But in the meantime, maybe questions. Anybody have any?